You told yourself it was the wind, just the wind. The way it slithered under the door, coiled around the bedposts, rattled the picture frames. But when the candle flickered and the music box turned without a hand to wind it, welcome back, scholars of the spectral. Tonight, we step into a world where silence speaks louder than screams, and music weaves a tale of torment. Where history isn't just remembered, it echoes, it hums, and sometimes it sings. Released into the stillness in 2020, Maid of Sker is a quiet horror that doesn't shout its terror, but lets it grow beneath the surface. A haunting melody, a creeping dread, an invitation to listen carefully. Before we begin, a reminder. You, dear students, are not graded. No. You are not the subject of tonight's examination. The games are. The games are always graded. And this one, it will be graded thoroughly. Let's pack our hymnals, take a breath, and step into the Sker Hotel. Let the lesson begin. Our descent begins with place, and what a place it is. The Sker Hotel does not scream its horror, it whispers it. This manor, tucked away in the Welsh countryside, feels like it's been untouched by time, and better left that way. The air is choked with mildew, the wallpaper peels like shedding skin, and every candle casts more shadows than light. There's a dread to the design that doesn't rely on gore or grotesquerie. No, Maid of Sker understands something far older, the weight of history, of inherited pain, of rooms that remember. This is not a hotel. It is a mausoleum for the living. The air hums with the music of regret, of things that should have stayed buried. You will wander through empty lobbies, dust-caked corridors, and locked doors behind which secrets moan softly. The grounds are deceptively tranquil, ivy-clad stone and wind-churned grass, but they conceal a suffocating silence. It is isolation with purpose. The hotel watches, and though it cannot speak, you will feel its breath on your neck. And the hotel changes, not in layout, but in tone. Each return to a familiar hallway feels newly sinister. The deeper you descend, the more the building feels like it's reacting, growing colder, closer, hungrier. The absence of life is itself a presence. This setting does not shock, it seeps. And in that slow, steady seepage, dread becomes design. The tale that binds Maid of Sker to its moorings is one stitched from Welsh folklore and Victorian tragedy. You are Thomas Evans, summoned to the forsaken place by your beloved Elizabeth Williams, who begs you to compose a melody powerful enough to break her family's cruel curse. What unfolds is a story not merely of love and sacrifice, but of voice and power. Elizabeth's family, custodians of a cult that weaponized music, have torn the world apart in their pursuit of control. They have silenced her, literally, and so you are her echo, her last hope, navigating a home that has turned into a house of heresy. The narrative is delivered primarily through letters, phonograph recordings, and ghostly echoes. And in those fragments, we find a haunting mosaic of obsession, betrayal, and ambition. There is a grief in the architecture, a longing that clings to the tapestries like dust. While the broader strokes of the story may feel familiar, a damsel, a curse, a house with secrets, it is the musicality, the folkloric flair that elevates it. The theme of sound as violence, Silence as survival lends a clever conceptual thread. Still, some threads unravel too early or never quite come together. Character motivations can feel spectral, more implied than explored. You may crave more from Thomas, more emotion, more depth, but perhaps that is by design. He is not the hero. He is the instrument. And students, take note. Maid of Sker is not interested in heroes. It is a tale of quiet resilience. And quiet here is everything. If the narrative is the melody, then the mechanics are the metronome. And Maid of Sker occasionally loses the beat. Yes, the concept is clever. Survival through silence. Stealth as supplication. You are not a warrior, but a whisper. Your primary interactions with enemies, the disfigured, blind, quiet ones, is to avoid them entirely. You crouch, creep, hold your breath, and pray your heartbeat does not betray you. But concept and execution are not always in harmony. The quiet ones, at first, are terrifying. Their erratic pacing, muffled groans, and uncanny sensitivity to sound create a delicious tension. But their patterns are quickly learned. Once the terror thins and the AI's limitations reveal themselves, too slow to react, too easy to evade, encounters become more routine than riveting. Dread gives way to rote memorization. The breath mechanic, touted as a core survival element, introduces a fascinating tension until it doesn't. You'll soon find its usage limited to predictable segments, and the actual holding of breath is underutilized outside a few scripted set pieces. Worse, the mechanic is often clunky. Triggering while already crouched and in cover feels like belaboring what should be second nature in a stealth game. The phonic modulator, which arrives late in the experience, is a strange contradiction. It's a device that repels the quiet ones with a burst of sound, essentially a panic button. But in a game about powerlessness, its introduction feels like genre betrayal. Horror dies the moment you become the hunter, even if only for a breath. Level design begins strong, but overstays its welcome. The hotel is initially unnerving, labyrinthine, and disorienting. But as the game progresses, it falls into familiar fetch quest loops. Find 4 music cylinders, then 4 sheet music pages, then 4 hymn fragments. Objectives are recycled, backtracking becomes tedious, and the hotel begins to feel less haunted and more hauntingly repetitive. Puzzle design, while elegantly themed, musical motif, hymnal arrangements, ciphered lyrics, is underwhelming in complexity. Many of the puzzles can be brute forced or solved in seconds, offering more ambiance than actual challenge. For a game so anchored in sound, it rarely pushes the player to listen closely, in a mechanical sense. And then there's the saving system. Old school phonograph checkpoints. Charming, yes, but their sparse placement can amplify frustration when forced to replay long, slow stretches after a careless step or AI glitch. Maid of Sker's mechanics mirror its themes: silence, restraint, isolation. But while the idea is potent, the implementation falters. Stealth lacks finesse, tension wanes with repetition, and late game additions dilute the earlier dread. In another life, with deeper systems and tighter AI, this could have been a masterclass in sound-based horror. Instead, it is a beautiful waltz, performed in heavy boots, elegant in rhythm, but cumbersome in execution. Now we come to the soul of the thing. Sound is not merely a tool in Maid of Sker. It is the weapon, the antagonist, the mystery, the reward. The game's entire ecosystem revolves around your ears. It demands you listen, not just to stay alive, but to understand. The quiet men's grunts, wheezes, and footfalls echo through the hotel's halls like ghastly lullabies. You will hear the creak of floorboards long before you see what made them. The music box lullabies are heartbreaking. The ghostly moans are bone deep, and the silence between each sound is as important as the noise itself. Every scrape, every shuffle, every strained inhale becomes a signal, a question. Are you alone? And then there's Elizabeth's song. The title track is a mournful, haunting siren's call. When it plays, it doesn't soothe, it wounds. It reminds us that love can echo through time, but so can pain. Rare is the game that makes listening more vital than looking. Maid of Sker accomplishes this masterfully. And for those among you who study game design, listen closely. The moments when the sound stops are just as terrifying as when it starts. That hush is not peace, it is primed dread. Fear as you know it is not about what jumps at you from the dark. It is what stands in the corner and does not move. Maid of Sker excels in this slow, creeping horror. It is not interested in spectacle. It offers dread, not shock. It leaves you alone for long stretches, lets you grow complacent, and then sends someone sniffing for you in the dark. The quiet men, faceless and mute, are terrifying, not because they chase you, but because you never quite know when they're near. There is something uniquely dreadful about hearing them breathe before you realize they're behind you. This is a horror of restraint, of tension, of silence turned sinister. There are no over-the-top monsters, no boss fights that scream for attention, just pain and patience, and the sound of your own fear filling the room. The fear lingers, even after the game ends. You may find yourself holding your breath as you step across your own living room floor. Maid of Sker stands alone, but not adrift. It draws from the greats, Amnesia, Outlast, even a hint of Silent Hill, yet finds a voice of its own through its cultural roots. Inspired by the real Sker House and the 1872 novel The Maid of Sker by R.D. Blackmore, the game infuses Welsh folklore into every brick of its structure. In a landscape dominated by American and Japanese horror, this voice feels rare, almost reverent. And Wales Interactive has not abandoned it. While the game didn't receive major sequels, it inspired a spiritual successor, Sker Ritual, shifting from solitary horror to co-op action, proving that even small horror stories can echo beyond their walls. The impact may be soft-spoken, but it remains. Maid of Sker is not a revolution, but it is a requiem, and in horror, that can be enough. So, my dear students, what have we learned? Maid of Sker is not horror for the impatient. It is not built on spectacle, nor does it need to be. It is the creak in the stairs when no one is home, the lullaby played backwards, the breath you didn't take fast enough. Its roots in folklore lend it a timeless quality. Its mechanics, though imperfect, serve its theme, and in sound design, unmatched. This is a horror experience best consumed in the dead of night. Headphones on, lights out, with a healthy respect for the power of silence. It will not scream at you. It will sing. That's the bell, students. Our time is up. But remember, silence is not always safety. In the world beyond these candlelit halls, you may find yourself wandering the corridors of an old hotel, and with locked doors, mournful echoes, and hymns that should never be sung. If you do, If you feel the air tighten in your chest and you hear the floorboards whisper beneath your steps, don't cry out. Don't call for help. Hold your breath, step lightly, and above all, never follow the singing.